These days, laptops are becoming more and more of a necessity. As an engineering student at Texas A&M University, I am basically required to have my own laptop. Almost all of my classes have everything from homework, tests, to even the entire course completely online. If you take a quick glance almost anywhere on campus, you're going to find students on their laptops. Today I will be reviewing my laptop, the Microfot Surface Book 3, and discussing how effective it was for school, personal use, and just general tips and tricks for how to use the laptop more effectively. I've had my Surface Book 3 for almost 2 years now. I got it the summer I graduated high school for the express purpose of using it for college, which mostly consisted of taking notes, doing homework, running coding environments and other programs, and having 3,000 tabs open at any given time. I've also used the Surface Book 3 to watch and make videos, play games, raw stuff, and various other things too numerous to mention. My opinions on this laptop will be mostly dealing with how effective it was for my personal and school uses. With that all out of the way, let's get started. For my Microsoft Surface Book 3, I got the 13.5-inch size option with the i7 Intel Core, 32GB of RAM, and 512GB of internal storage. As it is a Microsoft laptop, it came with Windows 11. I've never felt like I needed more RAM, but just having more things open at once would be nicer. But with 64, I could have had even more tabs open of the same lab manual that I forgot I had open already. The Surface Book is powerful enough for general use, but for more technical things like video games, it can't run max settings as effectively, but will still run okay. If you push it, the laptop will start to heat up. I use a fan, but I'm not really sure if it helps that much. I haven't tried very modern games on the laptop, but if you do, I wouldn't expect it to run max settings. The laptop battery has served me pretty well. I only need to recharge it if I'm spending a lot of time on campus that day. If I don't go into campus, I just leave it plugged in on my desk. That being said, the more intense the program you're running, the faster the battery goes down. So to be safe, I always keep my charger with me in my backpack. Something else to consider when selecting the size of your laptop is that it does affect the battery and the CPU. The 13.5-inch option is listed as having 15.5 hours of battery life at typical use, and the CPU options are all Intel cores. The 15-inch option, on the other hand, is listed as having 17.5 hours of battery life at typical use, and instead of Intel cores, it uses AMD Ryzen mobile processors with Radeon. The laptop keyboard feels fine as a keyboard. I still prefer my mechanical keyboard if I'm doing something for longer, but this is perfectly usable if I'm not using a fancier keyboard. The keyboard is also used to store part of the battery for the laptop. The keyboard on both the 13-inch and 17-inch options are actually the same size, which is just something to keep in mind in case you thought the bigger one would get you a number pad or something. The touchscreen is perfectly usable for me, although I'm not really an expert for the more technical specifications. I still prefer to use my own monitor along with the laptop screen so I can have a dual monitor setup. Please note that there are no HDMI ports, so you will need an adapter. The camera on the laptop is fine. I've really only used it for the face login, which is quite convenient and fairly reliable. I was quite disappointed by the limited number of ports on the Surface Book 3. I highly recommend using a USB-C hub instead of just an HDMI adapter, as it will give you more ports to work with. Most of the ports are located on the keyboard, so if you detach the laptop, the only thing you have access to is the headphone jack. You can't even charge it. The ports being on the keyboard instead of the laptop itself is definitely because you can just reverse the laptop and reattach it to the keyboard. This way you can get all the ports and battery life back while still using it like a tablet. So in practice, the laptop always has access to the ports and battery life that the keyboard provides. I will be going over the Surface Detach feature a bit more later. During normal use, I want to plug in my monitor, mouse, keyboard, and Ethernet cable, which also requires its own adapter. If I didn't have the USB-C hub, I wouldn't even be able to do that. Another important thing to consider is that devices that require fast communication speed, such as Ethernet and hard drives, should be plugged directly into the laptop instead of through an adapter, as that will sacrifice a lot of speed. I use an external hard drive when editing videos, which means that even with the ports from the USB-C hub, I'm still out of ports. The Surface Book 3 also has an SD card slot that I've never used because every time I've needed to use an SD card, it's been a micro SD card, and the USB-C hub I have has a micro SD card slot, so I just use that. Surface Detach is a feature that lets you take off the screen and use the system like a tablet. Like I said before, you're going to want to reattach it to the keyboard to keep the extended battery life and other features of the keyboard. While detaching and reattaching the screen usually takes no time at all, I've noticed that if I have a lot of things open at once, it'll slow down the process by quite a bit. This is not a huge deal, just slightly inconvenient. There have been a few occasions where I've had a lot of things open on my laptop at once, and when I went to go reattach the laptop, it gave me the blue screen. However, this has only happened twice in my entire time using this laptop, and I've swapped the screen around multiple times a day, especially on the days that I have a lot of classes. So this seems like a pretty rare occurrence. The reason why I use the detach feature so much is for taking notes. Taking notes by hand helps me remember things better, and I don't need to carry around a bunch of notebooks. I also like to use my makeshift drawing glove to prevent fingerprint smudges. I made it by just cutting off some fingers of an extra cloth glove I have lying around. Pen. I have so far used 2 different stylus pens with my Surface. Both of them had their advantages. Regardless of what pen you have, I would definitely recommend getting spare batteries. The first pen I got was this off-brand pen. I got it because it was much cheaper than the official Microsoft pen. And I went with this one specifically because I liked having both buttons towards the end of the pen. This pen doesn't magnetically attach to the side of the laptop like the official Microsoft one does. Instead, it has this clip. This didn't matter too much for me because the case I keep my laptop in has a slot for pens anyway, so I just keep it in there. However, I did notice that this pen sometimes briefly disconnects from the screen, creating little gaps in whatever line you're drawing. This also seemed to be related to what part of the screen I was writing on. These little gaps made trying to draw things or make my notes look nicer very annoying. This was the main reason why I ended up upgrading to the official Microsoft Surface Pen. The official Microsoft Surface Pen is much pricier than most other options, but it doesn't have any pesky connection issues, and I am very much enjoying this upgrade. I still would have preferred the button layout like the other pen, with the select and erase button positioned right next to each other so I wouldn't have to change my hand position when using them. Instead, the Microsoft Pen has the eraser on the back. It may be more like an actual pencil, but it's slightly slower, and I'm losing precious seconds when I misspell recommend for the 4,000th time. Neither pen needs to be connected with Bluetooth to work, but the Microsoft one gets some nifty features if you do. These mostly involve the button on the back of the pen, which is also used as the eraser. With Bluetooth, the eraser button supports 3 extra functions, performed by tapping the button once, double tapping the button, or pressing and holding it. What these actions do can be set from the pen settings, which are located within the Bluetooth and devices settings. I have my single tap set up to use the snipping tool, which is a screenshot program that lets me easily take images from presentations and then just paste them into my notes. Double tap is set to open up the pen menu, which pulls up 4 quick access shortcuts that can be set to almost any program you want. Because the first 2 pen functions covered almost all features I needed, I wanted to make holding down the pen do something funny. I originally tried to get it to open a game, but I learned that the settings don't actually allow for every program to be selected. For example, most shortcuts can't be selected. Then I had the idea for it to do this. I actually made a quick video about how you can get your pen to open a web page. I'll link it in the description. I recommend getting a case for your laptop even if you have a computer slot in your backpack. Laptops are a large investment, and you don't want anything to significantly damage yours in transit. Consider getting a waterproof or at least water-resistant case. It comes in handy. Many laptop cases will come with pockets. While you can get away with just carrying everything in your backpack, I like having one spot for all of the smaller stuff. I keep my pens, a USB drive, charging cable, microfiber cloth, and drawing glove in the case pocket at all times. I will also use the case pocket to carry my Ethernet adapter and USB-C hub if I need to bring them somewhere. The charger doesn't fit well in the case, so I just keep it somewhere else in my backpack. I have fortunately not tested the durability of this laptop, but it has survived me carrying it to classes every day for 2 years. I hope I never find out the extent of its durability. I highly recommend using a program like OneNote for taking notes. It's very easy to organize notes by classes, units in each class, and even what semester I took the class. It also has almost every tool you could want, such as a variety of pens, highlighters, and the ability to combine handwriting with typing, and of course supports adding images. The only thing I wanted to change but couldn't figure out how was swapping the buttons on the pen, because I wanted the eraser button closer to my fingers. OneNote is included with Microsoft 365. I got a subscription to it through my university, and most other schools will do the same. OneDrive is also included with Microsoft 365. It's a storage service that lets you save files from certain folders on your computer to the cloud. It's a lot like Google Drive, but made to work more directly with Windows. I have mine set up to store my school notes and other important files, so if something happens to this laptop in the middle of the semester, I'm not completely screwed. Some other software I would recommend is VLC, which is a free video player that supports most video types, GIMP, which is a free alternative to Photoshop, and Autodesk Sketchbook, a drawing software that's also free. There are also some tools I like to use that are built into Windows 11, like multiple desktops. By pressing the Windows button and tab, you can open more desktops. This can help with organizing programs and windows you have open. I recommend looking at Windows 11 tips and tricks to help find more helpful tools. I have some stickers on my laptop just for fun, but I also have my name and phone number in case it ever gets lost. The Microsoft Surface Book 3 has been quite useful for my school and recreational activities for the past 2 years. The system is powerful enough for general uses and really only seems to struggle with graphically intense games. I really like the Surface Detach feature and the ability to write on the screen with an appropriate pen, which allows me to take better notes and draw stuff if I feel like it. However, the limited selection of ports makes buying a USB-C hub basically a requirement. especially if you want an HDMI port. There is an absurd amount of variety in the laptops students are using at Texas A&M. But Surface Books are not an uncommon sight at the university. Its special features, like Surface Detach, are very useful. Just make sure you get a USB-C hub. While I really like my Surface Book 3, that doesn't mean you shouldn't consider other options. For example, I've seen other students use a laptop without a touchscreen and then use an iPad for taking notes. If you're in the market for a new laptop, be thorough with your research and make sure you're getting the best option for you. The Microsoft Surface Book 3 is a very good laptop for school and personal use. Thanks for watching. See you around.